Hello, my name is Tim Rand, and today is June 17th, 2024. And I'm doing my annual health report that I've been doing since about 2013. For whatever reason, my video last year got more than 15,000 views, so I'm going to try to follow the same formula this year. In that video, I gave my top 10 benefits of quitting caffeine after being 10 years caffeine free. You can see that video by clicking on the little card above, or I'll also leave a link in the description field. This year, I'm going to talk about intermittent fasting and the top 10 benefits of intermittent fasting, particularly weekly fasting. This talk may be a little bit longer than my normal one, so I'll try to divide it up into chapters, and then you can just kind of go to any chapter that you may be interested in rather than listening to the whole talk. Okay, so in the last 15 years, I've developed kind of a health protocol that contains 7 components. There's another video I have that has 5 of the components that you can also click in that little card, or I'll leave a description in the video field. And I've added a few others in subsequent annual updates. Basically, let me just tell you the components of my health protocol are 1, quitting caffeine, 2, weekly fasts, 3, limiting sugar, 4, sunlight therapy, 5, exercise, 6, apple cider vinegar, and the 7th one is daily chronicling. Okay, I would say the main 2 components, though, are quitting caffeine and weekly fasts. These are probably the most challenging elements of the protocol, and they generate the most interest when I'm talking to people. So last year, I talked about the top 10 benefits of quitting caffeine. And this year, I'll talk about the top 10 benefits of intermittent fasting, particularly fasting once a week. Okay, the first benefit of intermittent fasting, particularly weekly fasting, is losing weight. So when I started this journey in 2009, about 15 years ago, I weighed 210 pounds. And now I weigh 180. This morning I woke up and I weighed 180, which was my goal at the time. So I've lost 30 pounds. And so before anything, I'm going to do a before and after shot. I have a before one, and I'll show you what I look like now. Just to warn you, all right, I'm older now. I'm 63. Back then I was in my late 40s. So just to let you know. Okay. Okay, so here I am right now. And I'll just take my shirt off, which I may or may not keep in here, but so this is how I look right now. I'm 180 pounds, and I feel pretty good for my age of 63. Okay, so now let me just talk a little bit about my intermittent fasting journey. Okay, so I began blogging about intermittent fasting in 2009. At the time, I called the diet the Fast to Last diet, and it can be found at fasttolast.blogspot.com. And I'll leave a link in the description field below. This was before the current craze in intermittent fasting, and I would encourage people to look at it. It's only like 7 or 8 short posts, and it shows sort of the point at which my health had gotten out of control, and I weighed 210 pounds, and I thought I needed to do something, and I thought of intermittent fasting as an idea. So when I started, I was about 210 pounds, and I would say like about 30 pounds overweight. When I first began intermittent fasting, I started fasting within like a 4 to 8 hour, I would eat between a 4 and 8 hour window and then like fast for 16 hours a day. And I did that for many years, for about 6 years, I guess, until 2015 or so. And I lost about 10 pounds, so I got down to like 200. It was a very gradual process, but I kind of enjoyed it. I felt healthy doing that. I mean, one of my problems during that period is I was still addicted to caffeine and particularly energy drinks. So this prompted me in 2013 to start a YouTube channel. So I started a channel called T-30 Method is the name of the channel. And that was kind of the method I devised to kind of a gradual withdrawal method to withdraw from energy drinks and caffeine in general. And I succeeded in doing that. And I've been doing annual updates on that channel for about 10 years now. And I've been slowly adding elements to my health protocol in addition. But this video will be primarily about fasting. So let's get back to fasting. In 2015, I began adding like a full day fasts in addition to eating within a short window every day. And I started doing that once a month. I would do a full day, which for me was 36 to 40 hour fast. And I did that for about 3 years, between 2015 and 2018. And I lost, like I would say, another 5 pounds. On this little chart, I show my weight. And I picked my weight on February 15th of each year. I just wanted to pick a consistent date. And that's a date that usually I'm kind of my heaviest at that time. It's after all the holidays for the season, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, and Super Bowl Sunday. So I did that for 3 years, and I lost about 5 more pounds. But I was still enjoying the fasts, and I thought I would increase their frequency. So then, in about 2018, I started fasting once a week. And there on that chart, I guess I was 193. And then I would say my weight started dropping pretty good with that weekly fasting. And to the point where right now I'm at 180. So I lost I would say another 15 pounds in a matter of many years, though, 6 years or so. There was also a period on that chart during COVID where I started doing twice a week fasts, but I found that wasn't optimal. And so I went back to weekly fasts. So I just want to show you the charts that I do to chronicle my weight every day, basically, and where I got those figures on that chart. So here's 2015. Here's 2016. I must have been traveling at the beginning of that year. I'll just show these just to show that, I have a bit of a obsessive compulsive characteristic. But I have a bunch of data for years, basically. So if anyone's ever doing like a study on intermittent fasting, and I do like blue is my weight, red is something I shouldn't be eating, green is the exercise I do, then my eating window. So 2019, I don't know, I'm just gonna show these just to show like what I've been doing. 2020, I don't know if I'll show them in here, but you can just skip by all this part if you want. 2021. I guess here I'm doing weekly fasts here. Oh, I was doing bi-weekly fasts here. This must have been during COVID. But that was too much, actually. 2022. I don't know. This will be good for just also that I will have a record of all this stuff if I ever go back to it, or if anyone does a study on fasting and weekly fasting and intermittent fasting. I have all the data for about, I don't know how many years this is, 10 years. And here's 2024. And just let me show you, like, so we get today. Here's June. So like today I was 179.7 when I woke up this morning. And I've been kind of serious this month. I've been really doing it pretty well. I don't know, but I'm 180 right now. Okay, so that's it. And I'm going to move on now to the next benefit of fasting, which is living longer. Okay, let me go over the second benefit of intermittent fasting, which is living longer. Studies have shown that intermittent fasting can extend life in a variety of life forms, from worms to humans. And I'm showing you here a peer-reviewed article published in the respected science journal Nature in 2021. It's titled Intermittent and Periodic Fasting, Longevity and Disease. And let me just read the first two sentences from the abstract. Intermittent and periodic fasting are emerging as safe strategies to affect longevity and health span by acting on cellular aging and disease risk factors, while causing no or minor side effects. Intermittent fasting, lasting from 12 to 48 hours and repeated every 1 to 7 days, and periodic fasting, lasting 2 to 7 days and repeated once per month or less, have the potential to prevent and treat disease, but their effect on cellular aging and the molecular mechanisms involved are only beginning to be unraveled. So I'll leave a link to that article in the description field. By the way, many would consider Nature to be like the preeminent science journal in the world. So an article published there definitely holds great weight. So in my case, it's hard to know whether I'll live longer or not. I'm just one example of this strategy. But I will say I'm 63 now and I feel like I'm in pretty good health. So time will tell. Although I will say that my goal throughout all of this isn't necessarily to live longer. That's not like my primary goal. My primary goal is to be as healthy as I can be at whatever age I am. Just try to be healthy and productive for my age. I don't necessarily want to live to be 100 or anything like that. So I'm also including a chart of sort of the same chart I did before, but it shows the number of fasts I've done over the past 10 years. So as you can see, I've done like over 300 fasts. So I'm a good test subject for this, at least for weekly fasting. And we'll just see what happens, basically. Okay, so now we'll go over the next benefit of fasting, which is healing the body. Okay, so the third benefit is healing the body. I feel like when my digestive system is kind of put to sleep during fasting, the body is able to like divert its resources to other things for maintenance and just general health. So I just typed in healing and fasting into Google and it came up with this AI overview, which is kind of cool and I guess a new thing in Google. And it includes some research studies at the bottom, but I pretty much agree with all of the things there. During fasting, wound healing, tissue and organ repair, immune system restoration, chronic inflammation, and cognitive behavior. I think all those improve during fasting. For my own personal experience, if I've ever hurt myself, like even just like cutting my finger or jamming my toes or feeling sick, or if I have like dental work or something like that, I always feel like during my fasting day, my body is kind of repairing all those things. So I will say that I feel that it does heal my body personally. And I found just like during the week, if I haven't been eating very well, my skin tends to break out, particularly right around here. And during my fast, once a week fast, I feel that that all clears up. So I would say third benefit is healing the body. Which brings me to the next one, the fourth benefit, which is looking better. Okay, so the fourth benefit is looking better. And I found for personally, after I fast, I tend to like look better for a couple of days. And then as the week goes on and I don't eat as well, I don't look as good. So every 7 days, I kind of reset myself. And as I've been doing these videos over the years, one thing is I'm older, okay? I'm in my early to mid 60s now. Before I was in my 40s. So I'm kind of at the period where things aren't going to be going as well as they were when I was younger, but I still feel pretty good. And I mean, just also as an anecdote, I remember I used to watch this show, Naked and Afraid, which is on Discovery Channel. I think it's still going on, but I've kind of stopped watching TV like about 5 years ago. But I remember at the end of one ordeal, they had a long 40-day adventure in the wilderness. And, they were kind of starving a little bit. And I remember at the end, I said, they actually look pretty good. And they did an interview with the people after they had been home for a couple months and kind of fattened themselves up. And I was thinking to myself, wow, they actually look better at the end of that ordeal than they did, back at home with the Western diet. So, I don't know. I think fasting helps you look better in general. But you can't fight age. So that's going to come no matter what. Okay, a fifth benefit of fasting I found is that it kind of provides like stimulation, particularly the weekly fast. When I was in my 40s, you get it kind of like all the drugs and foods that give you a little bit of a buzz that make kind of life interesting. You drink coffee and you get or an energy drink, you get a buzz. Or you smoke a cigar, you get a buzz. You drink, you get a buzz. You eat a donut, you get a buzz. And so all those things it's hard to think of going through life without those little short-term stimulations or whatever to make life interesting. But I quit caffeine, and then with it, I started reducing those other things as well, although they're not totally eliminating them. But one thing I found is that fasting kind of gives you a little bit of a buzz every week. Like today's Monday, I guess tomorrow I'm going to be doing my fast, and I've been kind of eating this whole week, and so I'm looking forward to that day. I mean, it's a bit of a struggle, but I've been doing it so many times now. It's not that big a deal, but you get a little bit of a buzz from it. So that's kind of a short-term buzz that kind of replaces those other things that aren't as good for you. So I just throw that in there. It gives you like a little short-term high fasting for me. Okay, a sixth benefit of fasting is clear thinking. So for me, I find that my fasting day is the day when I think the clearest and I actually get the most work done. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Well, I am pretty sure. I think, if your body is not concentrating on digestion, it can concentrate on other things, and one is thinking. So I find my fasting day is like my most productive day of the week in general. And also, I guess the day after my fast, I kind of eat a little bit more than normal. So that would probably be like one of my lesser productive days. But yeah, I would say the sixth benefit is clear thinking. Okay, a seventh benefit of fasting is that I never or very rarely get hangry, which is, many people that I know, when they get hungry, their mood changes and they get kind of irritable and hangry, I guess is the term for it. And one pretty good benefit of fasting is that I rarely get hangry. So like if I'm traveling with people and they're on a different eating schedule than I am, for me it's like no problem, because I'm so used to going really 40 hours without food on a weekly basis that my body is kind of in tune with that. And it's never a problem delaying eating. So that's another big benefit of fasting, is you rarely get hangry. Okay, an eighth benefit of fasting is you kind of amaze people. So quitting caffeine and fasting once a week really never ceases to amaze people. People are interested, and usually it generates kind of a spirited conversation when you're with people. And people generally have a strong opinion, both pro and con, for both of those things, quitting caffeine and fasting. So it's just very interesting. It amazes people. They're interested in it, both of those things, but fasting even more so than quitting caffeine. But both of them, of my protocol, I would say those are two key elements that are a little bit pretty hard to do, and people are curious about it. So it's a great conversation piece or whatever. And people are generally, can't believe I go a whole day without eating, once a week. People find that amazing. But for me, it's just a natural part of life right now. So that, I would say, is an eighth benefit. Okay, a ninth benefit of fasting once a week is, and intermittent fasting in general, is saving money. If you're not eating one day out of the week, so that's 1 out of 7, or like 14% of the time, you could say, well, I'm going to save 14% on my eating bills. But you do eat a little. I do eat a little bit extra on the next day. But I would say, with fasting, you really become in tune with your body. It's the same with quitting caffeine. And I try not to keep too much junk food in the apartment. So you save on that as well. So I would say, weekly fasting, you could save 15 to 20% on your, grocery bills or eating bills or whatever. So saving money would be the ninth benefit. Okay, for my 10th benefit of fasting, I'm going to get a little bit more philosophical, kind of like what I did in my quitting caffeine video for the 10th one. And I'm going to title this Weekly Fasts and a Great Awakening. Okay, so why fast weekly? I think there are two main reasons. The first one is that for me personally, I've been experimenting with fasting over the last 15 years, and I've done a variety of forms of fasting. I did eating within a window, which I still even do to this day. I started fasting once a week, once a month. I started fasting once a week. I've fasted twice a week. And for me, the ideal fasting frequency for weight loss and just generally feeling well has been once a week, as you can see in the chart I did in an earlier section. Okay, the second reason is a bit more philosophical. So most religious ceremonies, at least in the West, the three main religions, I guess, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, they meet once a week. Muslims meet on Friday, Jews on Saturday, and most Christians on Sunday. And I think this serves a lot of purposes, but one is to kind of like reset your moral compass every 7 days. Like every 7 days, you go to that ceremony and it teaches you the right way to think and behave. And there are pros and cons to this, but let's just concentrate on the pros. You kind of reset your moral compass. Now, periodically throughout history, at least in the United States, there have been these periods called Great Awakenings, where people kind of like lost their moral bearings. They stopped going to church or whatever, or temple or whatever. And it's kind of like their moral compass went all over the place. And there were these periods that happened about every 80 years, at least in the United States, where there's this religious revival and, people feel like they got to start getting back on track morally. I mean, we're probably at a similar period right now. But I think what happened, at least in terms of health and nutrition, we're really in need of a great awakening. Our nutritional compass is like gone crazy, and people are really unhealthy, and we need some way to get you back on track. I can't imagine like in 100 or 1,000 years, if we keep going on this track, people would be so unhealthy. So one thing about weekly fasting, I find it really resets your nutritional compass once a week. It kind of, that's a day of reflection. You tune out all of these bad things, the sugar, the nicotine, the caffeine, everything, the alcohol. You basically consume nothing, or I do. And it kind of resets you, so you think every 7 days that gets hammered back into you. So I think also, for people who want to get started, every 7 days, you don't have to fast. Like my wife fasts for 24 hours. By the way, this is my wife's coffee machine, not mine. Not mine. People mentioned that in my 10-year anniversary. But so she does fast 24 hours. If you're just starting, you could just like skip a meal, or you could just not eat between meals. But sort of making use of that once a week period to reset your compass, I think is valuable. And also I will say, fasting, it's not just for you personally. I guess healthcare expenditures in the US are, I think they said it's 17% of GDP, or $5 trillion a year, $14,000 per person. So you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for society as a whole. So I guess that's the 10th reason. I feel we need a great awakening, and I think something done on a weekly basis could help in that process. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. This was my 10 benefits of weekly fasting video. And my health protocol is pretty constant at this point, and so I don't foresee making any changes, but I may add something this year. We'll see. But as far as a goal for next year, I'm going to try to cut sugar more. And so maybe next year I'll do the top 10 benefits of quitting or cutting sugar. And that's about it. I'm also thinking about doing my education video at some point, although I may do that on a different channel because it may appeal to a different group of people. But that's it, and thank you all so much for watching, and hope everything is going well with everyone. Thank you.